You typed a message asking for help, stared at your phone, and deleted it. You rehearse their answer before they even speak. This isn't just low confidence. It's a forecasting error where you overestimate how badly a rejection will actually hurt. You'll see why your brain exaggerates the pain of a no and get a clear protocol to make the ask anyway. What makes this reaction feel so automatic?
The pain you invent. Instead of hitting send, you find yourself organizing a drawer of old cables just to avoid the screen. You try forcing yourself, it fails. The dread comes back anyway. There's a name for this: rejection forecasting bias. In plain words, you're predicting a painful no. That reaction can happen automatically for many people, so it isn't a character flaw. Are you reacting to an actual threat or only your own prediction of one? The distance can grow not from what they said, but from the silence you chose. That protection you built often contributes to your isolation.
Why the math is wrong. The unfinished project sits on your desk, and you decide the boss will laugh if you ask for an extension. You treat a rejection as a certainty before the other person even speaks. Assuming the worst feels like safe preparation. Your caution is entirely misplaced. You're doing terrible math. People are significantly more willing to agree to a direct request than you expect. Yet you assume a refusal is almost guaranteed before you even open your mouth. Picture packing a heavy umbrella for a clear day because you imagined rain. Carrying it serves no purpose. Every time you brace for a harsh dismissal, you exhaust your energy fighting a storm that never arrives. You need to break the automatic assumption that their default answer is no. Name one reason they might say yes. The dreaded conversation suddenly feels like a normal human interaction instead of a firing squad. Reframe the outcome. Label a no as a simple timing conflict, not a personal failure. That fixes the deadline. Your next pitch carries a higher price.
Bracing for an impact. One choice sends the pitch directly. Another option wraps the idea in 5 long apologies. Same morning. One version has a higher chance of getting an answer, while the other guarantees no response at all because it was never sent. You worry a no will ruin your week, so you hide the message. You're just trying to save yourself the awkwardness.
Picture flinching at a sudden noise. A heavy book hits the floor, the loud bang makes you jump, but the room is perfectly fine. Anticipating a refusal makes you jump just like that. This habit can turn a brief sting into a major event. Bringing the fear out of your head strips its power. Once you write the literal words of their worst-case reply, you might realize the emotional impact is likely smaller than your anxiety suggests. That paper handles the immediate panic. Pulling away early can create distance, and in effect, you are reacting to a rejection that hasn't actually happened yet.
The anger you project.
Frustration builds against someone who hasn't even spoken yet. You get angry at the other person for a refusal they haven't even given you. That bitter text you drafted blames a friend for ignoring a favor you never requested. Assuming a dismissal creates a cold wall between you two before anyone speaks a single word. Gentle knowing. Cancel a dinner reservation because you assume the food will be cold, then blame the chef. Complete nonsense. Yet you run this same routine with a friend who might want to help you move that heavy oak dresser. Pulling away early turns an imagined slight into a real fight. It's a choice. When you stop punishing people for a choice they never made, the heavy tension in the room vanishes. A normal conversation becomes possible again. Retreating feels like a smart way to avoid a harsh dismissal. Instead, that preemptive silence creates the very loss you wanted to dodge.
The guarantee you chose.
Picture locking yourself inside a small closet so nobody else can shut the door on you. That's absurd. Yet, by refusing to ask, you eliminate the possibility of a yes in an attempt to avoid a potential no. Keeping quiet leaves the holiday wish list completely blank. You end up unwrapping something you hate anyway. Stepping into another room after you speak removes the chance to hover. The quiet delay stops being an emergency you have to fix. Deliver the request and walk away for 10 minutes. You'll breathe normally while the other person decides. The space does the work for you. A brief pause gives them room to consider the favor. You ensure a no only when you don't ask at all.
How to finally ask. You saw the traps that magnify a no. You set the phone down to dodge a hurt that was mostly an illusion. Name one reason they might say yes. Write the literal words of their worst-case reply. Deliver the request and walk away for 10 minutes. That phone is yours to use. Subscribe. What's one thing you have been avoiding asking for because you're sure they'll say no? What is one thing you have been avoiding asking for because you are sure they will say no?